Hey guys, it's Kurt from Wersi Club USA. Well, we're back on our same old screen that we keep showing you all the time. Not that anything on this screen means a heck of a lot, it's just a starting point for these things. So it turns out we were going to do some stuff with our Keytron, again, physical MIDI sound device attached on MIDI out 1, out 2. But I've sold all the Keytrons, so I don't have one to attach temporarily. I'll have a new SD90 here in about a week, and we'll continue the physical MIDI discussion. In the meantime, I went ahead and loaded a couple of VSTs. So this is kind of short. I just want to continue the discussion with the folks out on the website about things I'm observing and how it works or doesn't work, or what I understand or what I don't understand. So let's pick upper 1, right? And let's click sounds. And you guys should remember, right, the top 3 are all about the default factory settings to use port 1, port 2, or USB MIDI. Then all these are sounds I created that if you happen to own a Keytron, it'll play a piano, an E-piano, vibes, organ, harmonica, and on and on and on and on, right? And that's kind of what we've been talking about, is how does some of that work. So here's a couple things I noticed. So I installed a couple of VSTs, and notice under VST sounds, it's all blank. Under MIDI out, it shows this particular same screen, right? So that sort of makes sense, and let me show you why. So if you go back here and I go to settings again, and I scroll over to the 3rd screen, go to our VST host, and currently the organ is set up to turn on with the factory standard setup, which has no VSTs other than what OAX has built into it, okay? Now, I again installed a couple of extras. So if I click load, I installed MIDI Grand and Velvet, which are 2 of the VSTs they discuss in the OAX manuals. That's the only reason I have these installed. And then I have Contact installed, but I haven't done a lot of setup on that one yet. And that'll tie into some of the conversations on the website about using, multiple banks and what channels do you use and all of that stuff, what we're talking about. But here again, let me just load Mini Grand for the fun of it. And again, I don't have any presets set up, so I have to manually connect the outputs. I haven't saved it, so this is all just kind of like, oops, sorry, all on the fly as we're going here. So connecting that basically says the output of this Mini Grand VST will go to the line outputs of our organ, right? And some other stuff you can see here, just for the heck of it, you click on it. If you click Mixer and EQ, notice up here, it does say these are the settings for this particular plugin. So if I were to change all of these settings, just like that, let's just say, and I were to save that as a preset, and notice here I actually have a test one set up. But if I were to save that, the next time I turn on the organ, it would load the MIDI Grand VST with all of those volume and EQ settings that I had selected. So fun facts to know that if you use VSTs, you can adjust those mixer EQ settings, save it in a VST preset, set up the organ to boot with that preset, and all those things will be loaded for you. Now, let's go back to where we were first at here. So let's double click on upper again. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. I want to click on sounds again. So the big difference here is, remember before when I clicked on VST sounds, it was empty. Now you see a whole bunch of VST sounds. Now, I can certainly change that name. I didn't bother to do that. I just left it as it installs with the default sound or names. But this could be grand piano, this could be concert piano, this could be studio piano, piano with reverb, piano without reverb, whatever all those settings are. So sound 0 through what you see here, it goes all the way to 128 actually, or 127. But we could change those sounds. The only thing I wanted you to notice here is that because I didn't have the preset, the VST preset loaded, the VST sounds were empty. Okay, so let me back up again. Oh, wait a minute, let me pick one of these. I'm sorry, let me pick this guy. Well, we'll ignore that temporarily. I'm just going to say continue. I'm going to say enter. We'll pretend that we didn't see any of that. And now we picked this MIDI Grand Sound 0. Okay, so now we've double click it again, and here's the same screen we've been talking about for the past week or so. One thing again I just want to point out that I found interesting. So manual controller, sound controller, that stuff would kind of be the same. If I were to look up whatever controllers the MIDI Grand VST supports, I could program those, set them, save this, and it should send those controllers. I honestly haven't been there yet, but pretty sure that's going to work. Here's one thing I noticed different. If you click routing, if you remember before, if you're using an external MIDI connection, over here there's a big box that says out 1, out 2, MIDI over USB, and again, I think it said internal. Notice that box is missing, and the default channel was OAX picked MIDI channel 1. That's most likely because I assigned it to upper 1. But I could, of course, change it like we've been talking about, and this is the whole fixed versus dynamic MIDI channel discussion. So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this yet, other than, there's some subtle differences when using a VST over and let's go back and look. Let's go back here now. So this is a VST sound. Let's go back and pick a MIDI out sound. Notice it has these same, oh, maybe I didn't mention that earlier. I'm sorry. Zuordnen? Is that how you say that? I don't even know. I did look it up, and if you translate it English, it means a sign. And I can click on it and notice it says it's active, but I don't know what the hell that means. I can't figure out what I'm supposed to click on next. If I click mapping, it turns off Zuordnen, or however you say it, and mapping becomes active. But what the heck am I mapping? What is active? I have no idea. So if anybody knows how that works, please chime in on the comments. I did send a note to some of our Wersi friends saying, help me, what does this do? Because I can't find much about it in the either the user's guide or the programming guide for OAX. But back again, so we picked a external MIDI sound, and if I click here, and now if I double click it, and if I click edit and routing, remember, this is that box I was saying that's a little bit different, that this box does not show up when it's a VST. So kind of gets into some of the comments that Jeff and John have going on out there regarding how many MIDI channels do we have? Are they internal, external? How can I mix them and match them? And we're going to keep digging, and we're going to figure it out. And, we're going to hopefully share it with everybody, and it's hopefully, again, something you guys can use. What else do I want to say about this? I'm not sure. Again, to our Keytron friends, hang in there. I'll have an SD90 here sometime in the next week, and we can switch back and talk about using these physical connections and go back to the conversation that we had with Carlo about MIDI out 1, MIDI out 2, the way Keytron works. If you don't own a Keytron, you don't care. we'd still invite you to watch because you might learn some stuff and pick up some stuff that might apply to anything else you own. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching.